On my way to the set of the film I was directing, I was walking on Mount Royal when I came across a teen who appeared to have a gun pointed to the ground. The police arrived shortly. They informed me that the teen had phoned them telling them his name was Chester Gonzalez and had taken Mount Royal hostage. The police allowed me to stay, and I filmed short parts of the confrontation with my video camera. They said everything was going well with the talks with the teen, and this situation would end shortly. Then, without warning, tragedy struck. A police officer's gun had went off and accidentally shot Chester Gonzalez in the chest. He was pronounced dead on the way to the hospital. After filming this teen's death, I decided it was my duty to film his life. Little did I know, this teen was more than your average kid.
This, my friend, is where a legend was born and a legend died. Chester Gonzalez.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue for me and you. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies blue and clouds of white, bright sunny days, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
State your name.
Jan Gonzalez.
How did you know, Chester?
Well, you see, when I came out of my mother's womb, he was just sort of standing there with this dumb look on his face. Ever since then, yeah, I've been his brother.
Okay. So, when was the last time you saw him before he went to Mount Royal?
I think it was like when he left the house to go to Mount Royal.
Chester Gonzalez? He was one stupid kid. I mean, when he was born, he wasn't born the right way. He came out of his mom's mouth. And I quote, her mouth. I was there.
I remember the day that Chester was born into this world. He was always determined to be a revolutionary. He was born to make change and such.
So, how did your father die?
He was killed in a freak accident involving Jello and the giraffe. See, he loved his Jello, and he was sitting under a tree eating this Jello he loved. And the giraffe, we don't even know where it came from, but it liked Jello as well. And it used its teeth to try and take the Jello, but our father, he fought viciously for that Jello. He fought till the very last of his life when the giraffe actually slowly chewed off his limbs and then finished him by crunching him in half. Yeah, we believe the giraffe was actually Satan incarnate, but we can't prove it because he disappeared in a cloud of fire and smoke after the napalm hit.
You know how some people say things are impossible? No, anything's possible. His dad died in a freak Jello giraffe accident. How is that possible? And the giraffe just disappeared in smoke and flames. What is that?
Napalm.
Napalm? His father, he really loved his Jello. I mean, even as a kid, I asked him for a bit, he punched me in the face. I just wanted a little bit. He could have just said no. God, he loved his Jello. Loved it too much. I always thought giraffes were herbivores.
No, Chester was always an interesting guy. I met him when he was, I don't know, in elementary school. We became close very quickly. And we talked a lot, and he wasn't the smartest of people I've ever known.
I think it was in a band once. Yeah, I think it was sort of still in a band, too. But I'm not really sure. It's sort of like that band that well, they suck so badly you don't even know they're there. Yeah, he tried to play the instruments, but I don't think he actually made it. Such an effort. All I ever saw him do was hold his fingers and move his other fingers. You know, that thing with you do this stuff with. I'll tell you one thing though. He could write songs. Brilliant songs. But he still sucked. Whole band sucked. I hate them all. Commies.
So yeah. Well, our band was like just the best. I was the bassist. You couldn't beat me, and anybody couldn't beat me playing. We had Chester over there, who was the guitarist, which sometimes we'd have to unplug him because of some eccentric things he would do.
One time, I was forced to go to their concert. There's only me there and one other person, and one security guard. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. I started throwing up, alright? That's not possible! It was so bad I was throwing up. I ran to the bathroom, I took out a knife that I always carry with me, and I was about to cut myself. Then this cop comes in, grabs me, starts beating the crap out of me, and I'm spending a night in jail for attempted suicide. God damn it! The worst band ever!
Alright, so, Chester's, pretty good man, kind of thick, but hey, it's the rest of us. So, we gave him an acoustic, stuck him in, didn't really want the rest of the people to hear him. I mean, we're a kick-ass band, right? We're gonna be the next, we're gonna be the next Bob Dylan, right? Take this world by storm. Heavy metal, all the way. We did covers for him, yeah, Bob Dylan. Awesome cover. ABBA, Devo, we're just kick-ass. And the only problem is, we don't get much support. Fans don't really show up that much, I guess they're kind of, a little weird, don't want to invade on our lives. So I respect that, but, sometimes it's kind of hard to go all alone. But yeah, he was pretty good, when we did hear him, which we tried much not to.
One time they somehow got me in their car, I don't even remember how, and they made me listen to their demo tape. I would not stop throwing up. It was like The Exorcist. Blah, 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 swallow your soul, blah. I broke the window and climbed out screaming for help. No one came. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't have come either. Hearing that, my God.
We started this band. It was great. I was the lead guitarist, and we were just shredding. Okay, we were on the highway to success. But the band might have been really great, but his actual high school life wasn't that great. The word I would use the most to describe Chester's high school life would be repetitive. You see, he never really passed any grade higher than grade 7. I think he got bumped up to grade 8 just because they felt so sorry for him. But he really never did get any farther. In fact, he did eventually get kicked out of school, which was a shame, of course.
I wouldn't define my brother as a smart person. I'd more define him as a really stupid person. He was in high school till he was 16, but he never really got out of grade 8. He always seemed to fail it somehow. Even when he passed everything, he just failed. He wasn't really smart. Did I mention he was kind of stupid? Now, it may seem that I hate him, but I don't. He was too stupid to hate. You couldn't hate something that was so dumb looking. It's sort of like those babies, You look at them and they got these baby faces on, and you just think they're so cute because they look so dumb.
In his later years, such as his teens, him dropping out of school, starting a band, making music, it was all quintessential to the revolutionary style and ways. Che Guevara, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King all probably had very similar roots.
Yep. His teachers hated him too, except for a couple. Mean teachers.
He had this girlfriend. She was a real whore. She would mooch off of him so much, just demand money, and it was terrible. And she just like looked down at him and everything. Oh, I hated her. And like one time, I think it was like their third date or something, he came back and he was like really bruised, and he had like his leg was almost broken and stuff. It was terrible. Of course, he told me he was mauled by a bear, but I knew better. That girlfriend of his beat him up.
Like, she'd make him practice all the time. Be like, I swear, 3 hours a day, that man comes over, maybe twice a time to hear. It's really too bad though, because by the end, still didn't even know how to hit the guitar.
And whenever we'd play a show, she'd be there in the back screaming, "You guys suck," which, seeing as though she's the only person at most of our shows, it really did not help our self-esteem.
It really annoyed the heck out of her. Only thing she'd do is come over and bitch of how bad we were. Hell, she probably don't know a good metal band that came over and whacked her upside the skull with a friggin' 5-inch friggin' drumstick. You know, I'm not that kind of guy, you know. A little reserved myself.
Always expected he'd become a communist. You know, he used to run around saying he'd be a communist, but yeah, you could tell. You could tell.
I really hate commies. No, I'm not racist. It's because of him. I really hate him. One time I was coming from a costume party. I was dressed up as Winnie the Pooh. I just saw him walk down the street and bam, I just beat the crap out of him. And I just left him there.
He started to really get into Che Guevara at that point. Although, he really couldn't pronounce it right. He would be like, Che Guevara or something. It was really like, bad, but we wrote it off. He used to, he would watch Motorcycle Diaries all the time, like, day after day, but he couldn't comprehend certain things. Like, he couldn't understand why subtitles exist, or how to put subtitles on. Or actually read, for that matter.
Well, a couple of us, and me and the guys, we tried to get Chester to play some sports so he can become more physically fit and active. First we tried hockey. That didn't work out because he chose to play goalie, and he let everyone, at least every player, score at least one goal. So the score would always run up, and we'd lose 20-2.
Yeah, he never really got the people aspect. He was sort of stupid in the fact that he didn't understand people didn't like commies in our democratic society. But yeah, that's him for you. Stupid as a 5-toed goat with no brain.
That kid, his idol was Che Guevara. It was his all-time hero. I remember one time he wanted to change his name to that, right? So he wrote on plain loose leaf, "I please want to change my name to Che Guevara," and exactly like that. He put it in an envelope that said "the government." He didn't put a stamp on it, just "the government," and he put it in. Oh, he never got his name changed ever, but he assumed he did. So he's telling everyone, "I'm Che Guevara. I'm Che Guevara." Fucking idiot.
He had a lot of comic friends. Didn't like them, you know. They didn't like him. Sort of like a hate triangle, except he loved everybody. Stupid commie.
He said he joined some terrorist communist group or organization. He basically just followed them around. After a while, they finally started to notice him.
So, yes. What was this guy's name again?
Chester Gonzalez.
Right. Chester was a retard. A pituitary retard. Like, I think that some hormones, like, just, I don't know. Anyway, he tried to join the Montreal Communist Party. Now, we are the Montreal Stalinist-Leninists, not to be confused with the Montreal Leninist-Stalinists. Those guys are a bunch of fucking nuts.
Chester was one stupid son of a bitch, alright? He wanted to have his own guerrilla war at Mount Royal. Because he didn't recruit people. He actually recruited gorillas. He broke into the zoo and tried to break him out. I swear to God, he's so lucky, they would have snapped him in two. Stupid son of a bitch.
You know when you have like a retarded child and you like put him in a corner with some finger paints so that like he feels like he's accomplishing something while all the rest of the kids do something at a different level? That's kind of how we treated Chester, right? Chester. We told him to go start some guerrilla warfare. Not expecting him to actually get it right, and we basically were pretty accurate in that respect. He went to the zoo and tried to free the gorillas and like arm them with AK-47s. This was also less than successful because he didn't know what a gorilla looked like and ended up freeing the seals. Now the seals, you'd actually think they would be kind of nice, but like the problem was he knew that the Leninist-Stalinists, who are a bunch of fucking nuts, dress in black a lot. So he dressed in silver. And so the seals could confuse him for a fish and try to eat him. And it was a beautiful moment. It was almost poetic. In like the seals with the and Chester in this, oh my God, don't eat me! It was a beautiful moment. Beautiful moment.
Some would compare his acts to those of Gandhi or Martin Luther King, his attempts to start change. Sure, his efforts were completely in vain, such as the time when he started a guerrilla war with seals and tried to break into the zoo, or that time he decided to start a communist party. Unfortunately, he didn't really know what a communist party was, and suddenly for a really great party. He lost a couple of organs to the black market for that one. Yeah, quite ugly.
He tried to organize a communist party, as in throw a communist party, like hammer and sickle balloons and pin the tail on the Bolshevik. Needless to say, it was very unsuccessful. Except for one thing, he did get kind of drunk, despite the fact that he bought non-alcoholic beer for the party. And so we kind of stole his organs and sold them on the black market. Not something that I'm particularly proud of, but it was funny. He woke up in a bathtub full of ice the next morning, and he thought he was in a movie.
Sure, I remember the day he died. Greatest day of my life. Of course, it was the weirdest way. He was holding Mount Royal hostage, right? He took a gun, and he just pointed it to the ground. That's all he did. No one would have found him if he didn't call in saying, I'm holding Mount Royal hostage. Alright? When the cops showed up, they were wondering, what the hell's going on? And then this idiot cop, my hero, shot him by accident.
His efforts to take Mount Royal hostage was a climax to the epic life that he had led so far. His idol, Che Guevara, would have been proud to know of what he had done.
I wrote a poem for him, and I read it every now and then. Hopes his soul will come back. Here's how it goes. I truly do love my commie brother. My commie brother, he had a republic lover. He liked to listen. The sweat on him would glisten. He didn't know what the fuck you were saying. All he knew was your spittle was spraying. He was a crazy commie kid. My brother was a crazy commie kid. He looked like an overgrown squid. He wasn't really all that smart, and in the world, he didn't have a very big part. He tried to hold Mount Royal hostage, like that movie where they tried to hold Mount Royal hostage. He was a crazy commie kid, but I loved him, and I always loved him. Come back to me, brother! I need you, crazy commie kid! Crazy commie kid!
His life had it only been permitted to go on for a few more years, could have been more extravagant and epic than the entire tale of Ben-Hur as told in its entirety.
I kind of miss him, you know. He's kind of like that little bobby head Jesus you put on the front of your car. It's not really for anything important, but you know, it's good to have there, you know. It's like support, knowing you're doing something right.
Amen, my friend. Amen.
Baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile, girl. Ooh, baby, it's a wild world. All you really is like a child, girl.
Okay, so this is where we would rock out. And like this is what I used to wear when we would perform at no practice, and we were just hardcore. And so now I'm gonna give you a special treat. Just me playing one of our best songs ever, which just like we take the house down. Alright. Okay. Alright. This is called Blowing in the Wind by Devo. Before you can call him back, and how many years must the mountain exist? And tossed alone. Yeah, I was by far the best person in our band. We were crazy.